Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show on television. Here on The Point of View, we get the right guests. We ask them the relevant questions on issues that matter to you. We're live tonight to examine the prospects of a movement that is hoping to upend Ghana's political duopoly. The NDC and NPP have really monopolized Ghana's electoral landscape in the Fourth Republic from 88% of votes in 1992 to close to 100%. Tonight, Dr. Michael Abu Sakara Foster, one-time CPP presidential candidate, and now one of the co-conveners of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, is our guest. He believes it's time for a third party to break that duopoly, and he thinks they have the men and women to do that. We'll talk to him when we come back. Welcome back. So tonight my guest is Dr. Michael Abu Sakara Foster, an agronomist, politician, some would say statesman, but he's back in the political mix, so he's still in the rough and tumble of politics. Doc, welcome to the show. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Avle, Ben, and it's a pleasure to be here on Point of View. Thank you.
You don't get tired. You've been doing this for long. 2008, you were Indum's running mate, and then 2012, you led the CPP. And then you left in 2016 thinking you were retiring from politics. You've resurfaced in 2024. What at all do you want?
Oh, I have a mission to accomplish. And that mission is to deliver to Ghana an alternative to NDC and MPP that will perform better. And that will offer a better system of governance and even deliver more in terms of development to Ghanaians and be something that the youth can look at as something that is hopeful for the future. So that is my mission. And wherever that mission leads me, I go there.
So you believe that where we are, we need a third force? You don't think that the two parties can, from within, bring the change that we need for Ghana?
Well, Ben, you know we have been talking about this not today.
Yeah.
It's years. And whether we were talking about it in the context of CPP or we're talking about it in the context of NIM, and lately the GFC, the Ghana Fresh Coalition, or even the ARC, it's the same issue. In other words, it is normal for democracies to devolve into a duopoly. And that duopoly will stay there until it becomes stagnant and unresponsive to the population. At that point, things will happen, fractures will occur, and then groups reconstitute themselves around another vision, and they present another group of people. This is not unique to Ghana. We've seen it in the UK. When the UK started, the Labour Party and Conservatives were not the dominant parties. It was the Liberals. Are you with me? We've seen it in even in America. Our flag bearer drew my attention to it today, that George Washington stood as an independent candidate twice and warned them not to go the partisan way because it will divide the country. Yeah. We've seen it in Macron, who was in partisan parties, and then because they were not responding and became unresponsive, they take the population for granted. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Then he came out of it, formed a movement, and there he got into government with a new mandate. We've seen it close to us in Benin. Are you with me? And all of these things, even now, we don't want to cite those as the examples we should follow immediately, but they are the consequence of people feeling that the democracy is not responding to them. That is why in all of a sudden in West Africa, you have had about 5 countries in which there have been military takeovers. What does that tell you? It tells you that democracy is not the panacea it's supposed to be. And if people don't manage it in a way that responds to the general population, then people will feel like, look, this is something that a few people have put together for their own benefit, and it's no longer benefiting us. Even when we talk, they don't listen.
But that's a good point you raised, and I want you to elaborate. If you look at West Africa, what we're seeing with Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, these are not democracies like the way Ghana's democracies work. We've had 30 years of the Fourth Republic. So are we comparing the same things? Apart from Senegal, and by the way, this is the first time they've had a change in, say, a government from one party to the other. Some will say we are much better because we've had the 2008 shift, in fact, the 2000 shift, 2008, 2016. So we're further ahead. So is it a good comparison to make?
Well, the point here is, are we just in democracy for the purpose of changing? Is that the whole purpose of democracy, that you have changed? No. You're in democracy because you feel that with the will of the people and the collective desire, you will work towards a collective vision and also a collective interest. And that interest will dominate partisan and parochial interests. But when you have a democracy in which the political divide has become so partisan, are you with me, that they themselves colonize the national interest and subsume it and begin to proceed along partisan interests. And they're not even satisfied with that. They then form factions inside of those partisan divides and abrogate the rules of the very parties they belong to in order to maintain dominance. Is that a democracy? Are you with me? So we have to ask ourselves these questions. Now, we are not saying that we should take the democracy and throw it in the dustbin. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that when we see this happening, we ourselves should begin to question whether this is the kind of democracy we need, and if we should not begin, are you with me, to use our right to demand an alternative.
So is the problem the constitution that created the platform from this duopoly to form, or is it the people who have had the chance to lead that have created a challenge?
It is a combination of both. You see, the truth of the matter is that here we have it's supposedly 21st century society, and we're supposed to have a 21st century democracy. But you and I know that it is not long ago yesterday that we were being ruled through chiefs, which was a semi-feudal system. And it's only 67 years ago that colonialism ended. And even today, a lot of people, while they identify themselves as Ghanaians, still at the core of their soul are the ethnic and factional groups. So we are a medieval society emerging into a 21st century, trying to apply a 21st century democracy. There's going to be differences compared to those people who emerged from a medieval into an industrial society, and then from that industrial society, are you with me, into a democracy. Because an industrial society does something to you. It delinks you from your tribe and ethnic affiliations, and time and money become the master. And you find yourself in metropolises and ideologies, you're following them, etc. Those things, if we are honest with ourselves, have not had the gestation in Ghana, are you and me, to materialize and create the kind of democracy that you imagine you have. So we still have a democracy with some of the traits of an ethnicity in it. We may substitute the ethnicity for parties. And that is why when people belong to a party, if you leave the party, you have betrayed them.
So using the adjective, we are very tribal. Like they always support Has and Kotoko.
Of course.
We are very NDC, MPP or whatever.
Of course. Psychologists have written books about how people transpose their ethnicity into football clubs. You know, where, you know, because they used to feel and belong to an ethnic group. They transpose that to a football club, and that's why some of the fighting still happens in Europe, because tribes used to fight each other, so, you know, it's supposed to be a game. But you can also transpose that into a political party, and that is not good, because what it means is that the national interest is subsumed. And whenever you have a group of people where the national interest takes a back burner to the partisan and parochial interests, then you cannot have the kind of development that you want. And also, a lot of the people will feel excluded. And even within those parties, there will be an elite group who will be seen to be the sole beneficiaries. And human beings are very, very sensitive to that. Once they see that, oh, so we are all supposed to push but I have no seat. If the engine gets started, oh, then let the truck go by itself. So you don't get that collective effort. And that is what we must try and overcome. And this is why we are saying that it is time for us to give people an alternative. If there's been stagnation in the duopoly, it's time for them to have an alternative where they will feel part of it, and everybody will feel that now the national interest takes center stage.
I'll come to
the
arc, and I'll let you talk about the various groups, because I've heard of GFC, I've heard of GMP, GGP, all kinds of things, and I've heard of also your NIM, and then Alan's movement and all of that. But let's deal with some of the generic questions first. Are you fighting against just NDC, MPP, or the way Ghanaians think? Because if you talk about Ghanaians, 30 years is really a short time. So the constitution, some people say, has served as well. And I've heard you say in previous interviews that water will find its level. So if you start a process, after 30 years, the smaller parties have reduced in influence. So it's like water finding its level. And again, people say there's things are in twos, black or white, good or bad. So it's going to be difficult to tell people in a 30-year democracy that you need a third. So it's better to work through the first two. Right? So one is right-leaning, one is left-leaning. Isn't it better to say, let's bring change from within? Because many people envy what we have, where it's easy to change and voters can punish you in 8 years or 4 years. Bringing a third force complicates the matter.
No, I don't think so at all. As a matter of fact, your question that you were asking initially was whether or not a third force is necessary, and whether or not there's scope, there's room for a third force, and why have the smaller parties not performed?
Yes.
Now, as I told you earlier on, in political science, there's something called the Virchow law, which says that in a democracy, it naturally gravitates into a duopoly.
It's called what law?
The Virchow law.
The Virchow law.
Yeah. In a democracy, it naturally gravitates into two.
That's what you mean by water finding its level.
Yeah, a duopoly.
So naturally.
Yes. But that does not mean it is permanent.
Does it predict how long it
lasts for a period.
Okay.
And it lasts for as long as those two entities are seen to be responsive to the population and trying to fulfill the aspirations of the population. But when they become almost like each other, and when the population perceive that there has been elite capture and they are no longer responsive, then what happens is that they begin to fracture from within. Because part of that process also of elite capture is that even within those political entities, are you with me? They start disobeying their own rules.
Yeah.
And then people can tolerate differences of opinion. They can also tolerate differences in methods of doing things. But when it comes to a departure from principle, they say, no, if you are now going to depart from the principle that binds us, then we need to move out and find another new ground where we carry the principle with us. And that is the difference which people don't perceive.
I like where you're going. Can I just take a quick point?
Yes.
So you said, one of the things was that they fracture from within.
Yes.
So I see MPP. In 2000, there was UGM, which
Yes.
you can say came out of MPP.
Yeah.
We've also seen Alan now come out.
Yes.
NDC, we had Reform.
Yes.
We had DFP of
Yes.
Obed. We had
Yes.
Nana Kunedu's party.
Yes.
But then when I show you the chart for the two, and I'm sure you know this,
Yes.
the departure of the disgruntled notwithstanding, they actually have become stronger. So is it that the fracturing from within doesn't seem to be splitting them at all, and they are rather getting stronger?
No, the point here is that the timing of those fractures are important, and the purpose of those fractures are important. If the fractures at the beginning were simply a question of leadership disgruntlement, it's different. But if now they are as a result of people feeling there's a fundamental departure from principle, they depart never to come back again. Are you with me? And then because they depart with that mentality never to come back again, they start building a new home where those principles can be upheld. And when you look at what has happened in the ARC, That is precisely what has happened, where we have said that no, first of all, we all believe that we should have a fundamental adherence to democracy ruled by the majority, and also an inclusive and participatory democracy. So we don't believe in elite partisan capture. Are you with me? The second part of it is that we are aiming, because we've seen the polarization that has happened, which is the result of the squeezing of the small parties out. Are you with me? And it is winner takes all. We're saying no, we should create an atmosphere which will be more inclusive and broader. Because if we had had a constitutional reform that permitted smaller parties to form coalitions, what would have happened is that the smaller parties would have grown and grown and grown. But because we have had a situation where it's either you're in or you're out, what has happened is that they have withered. Are you with me?
I see the point.
So now what we need to do is try and bring them all together, create a more robust
so which means part represents the Constitution, because if you look at 92,
yes,
Lehman had about, I don't know, the smaller parties together had about 500,000 votes.
Yes.
You look at 2000, it was the smaller parties that helped Kufuor to
we
win the
went
second
from
round.
11% to about 6 or
So you're saying if the Constitution had said whoever wins the first round should form a coalition government.
Yes.
The smaller parties, I wanted to show this. No, guys, go up. Show me the performance of the smaller parties. But when it comes, I'll show it. If the Constitution had not insisted on the 50%
Plus one, yes.
the smaller parties would have survived by now.
Sure. And what would have happened
Yeah.
is that there would have been an institutional relationship between the bigger party and the smaller party. It's not going to be a personal relationship between Bernard Avle and Abu Sakara because they're friends. And therefore, you know, Bernard Avle gives Abu Sakara a position, but Abu Sakara is not beholden to his political party which he came from. Are you with me? Because it's a personal relationship between them. But if you have the 50% plus one rule changed, then it becomes an institutional relationship where the position is not given to Bernard Avle or Abu Sakara, it's given to the party. And the party then chooses, are you with me, the person who they feel best occupied. So that person then feels that they are obligated to their party. And they will continue to support the agenda of their party.
I wanted to show you something to sort of buttress your point.
Yes.
So, 92, NDC 2.3 million, MPP 1.2 million, others together 450,000.
Yes.
Then you go to 96,
Yes.
4 million NDC, 2.8 million MPP, others another 210,000. Not too bad, guys.
Yes.
Now should go to year 2000, guys. So this is the issue.
Yes.
In year 2000, it was a very close race in the first round. 3 million for MPP, 2.8 million, so 200,000 difference. Now look at what the others got.
Yes.
4.8 million.
Yep.
Now this 4.8 million basically was going to determine who was going to win. So if there was a coalition government,
Yep.
NDC and the others could have come, or MPP and the others could have come.
Indeed.
And then they would have grown.
Yes.
So this is where the Constitution didn't help us.
It didn't help us because NPP and the others, or the others could have chosen either MPP or NDC.
Go to the second round and see what happens. So the second round, of course, the others didn't play a role. So then this 400,000 all went to MPP.
Well, they played a role in the sense that there was a grand alliance
That's my
or
point.
coalition.
But they didn't have a share in
it
government
was not
necessarily.
an institutional relationship.
It was an
and
informal
therefore, they
relationship.
had no hold on the NPP to ensure that they brought their people officially into government through the party, not as individuals. And those people would have an obligation towards
So which is
them.
why people like Kwesi Indum,
Yes.
Kojo Ama, Freddie Blay
Yes.
would not necessarily. But to be fair to Indum, he came back to the CPP.
Oh.
After he went to work
Yes,
for Kufuor.
yes.
But Kojo Ama and what's it called, Freddie Blay.
No, but I think the point there, when we, you know, to be fair to the CPP people as well, is that whilst you are there, be coming to see us every month. Whilst you are there, see to the needs of our party. whilst you are there, have meetings with the Central Committee and take to Parliament the things that we believe are important. So you give us voice. It's not a matter of when you finish, you come back. No.
I see. So let's wrap up this story. So you notice that, guys, go back to 2000. Let me just show something. So 2000, it was a dead heat, and this smaller parties were this. It wasn't this bad.
Yeah.
The runoff tells me that they helped MPP to win.
Yes.
But then by 2008, guys, just keep going. By 2008, notice that the red begins to diminish in size. It comes down to 200,000.
That's right.
And then by 2012, it sort of tapers down. Keep going.
Yes.
Guys, keep going. 2012, it's now below 200,000.
When is this?
2012.
Uh-huh.
And then 2016. And I mean, you see the chart.
Yes.
NDC and MPP are rising.
Yes.
And these
this
guys
is
are
now
flat.
a flat line.
So 2020, what do we have? Go to 2020, it's all the way up, and this is flat.
Yes.
So this is the point.
Indeed.
Wonderful. Now, let's come to who are the ARC? Who are you people?
Well, we are a collection of the others who are not part of NDC, not part of NPP, and who now want to come together to form a vibrant alternative political force. So that is who we are. The people that you see there, some of them have existed on their own, and through this line, they've discovered that we are going nowhere by ourselves. Are you with me? Because this 186,000, one of the reasons it has come down is because they themselves have divided themselves into smaller
Which is funny
and smaller
because
groups.
this election, the voter position was very low. So if you have 186,000 compared to 400,000,
Yes.
and the electoral roll has risen from like 10 million to almost...
Yes, yes. So at this point here,
This was much bigger.
bigger and fewer, because then it was seen like three entities.
So there was PNC, CPP, or I think 92
No,
was, it wasn't even CPP.
this was more like, the remnant of the PNP
So there was
party.
NCP,
Yes,
NIP. So there was Kwabena Dakun,
yes,
NIP.
yes, but they were
NCP,
more together.
Ebro,
Yes.
and PNC Liman.
Yes, yes.
Those were the three main
Yes,
alternatives.
but actually, the Liman group was bigger then.
Yes.
Because they had been in government.
And they had
come
more
out,
seats as
and
well.
they had more seats. So they would have constituted a significant
Were you there at the
percentage.
time? Why didn't they unite?
No.
Why did we have NIP, Kwabena Dakun? Why did we have Liman? And why didn't they just come together to form Nkrumah's groups? Why did they have so many?
Well, I think part of it is because of their own internal leadership struggles. But a large part of it is that the duopoly, the MPP and the NDC, worked out the medicine, are you and me, to dismantle them and stop them from...
With the acquiescence, I think. Because
obviously,
because the
yes.
NDC would not force you to join them.
No, they don't force
They
you.
were a new political party coming out of PNDC.
Yes. You see, what you have to remember is that this group, if they ever got their act together, would be extracting people from NDC and NPP. And even some of their people who were actually with them ended up in NDC and some in NPP. So if those people were to come back here, of course it would affect them. And this is not a croquet game on Buckingham Palace. This is a rugby game. So, are you with me?
Yeah.
So you have to take every advantage, and it is legitimate to some extent. But where I think that it is not helpful is that the rules make it a free-for-all and winner takes all. What we're saying that is not helpful to the country, because you are now reducing the checks and balances that could come in the system. But if you make it a proportional representation or allow the coalition government to form officially, then you will give room for these
But that will
other
require
people.
constitutional change.
Of course it will require constitutional change, and that is one of the reasons why that is a central part of the
When we
ARC
come back, you will tell me
objective.
who NIM is, you tell me who GFC is, you tell me who GMP is, you tell me who GGP is, and all these funny names. And by the way, I'm not sure PNC and CPP are even here. Neither have I seen Ayariga,
Where?
Kofi Apalu in this new group you're forming.
Oh, no.
So
Not
there are
yet.
so many other smaller groups that are not even yet here.
Yes.
You know, which is where the problem is. Anyway, this is the point of view. We're talking to Dr. Abu Sakara Foster, who is the co-convener, I think that's the right word to use, of the ARC. Now, it sounds very AFRC-ish, but he says they are different. Alan Chermatin and Abu Sakara have come together to form the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, and they think they will be the third force. We'll examine more when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. So my guest is Dr. Abu Sakara Foster, founder of the National Interest Movement. In 2012, he was the flag bearer for the Convention People's Party. Prior to this, he was the running mate to Dr. Pakwesi Indum, who was the CPP flag bearer. He left the CPP in 2016, founded the National Interest Movement. They've come together at groups like the Alliance for Change, or actually they call them the Movement for Change, led by Alan Chermatin. And of course, there's the GTP. It's a great transformation plan. There's the Ghana First Coalition. If you can walk me through all these groups. So first, let's start with the NIM, which you founded. What is NIM?
Well, you know, when I left the CPP, basically, we were looking for something that would bring together, once again, political attention on the key things that were preventing us from achieving what we could achieve as a nation. What were the impediments? That was the question we asked ourselves. So we've been trying these things in the partisan domain. But let's put the politics aside. Okay. What are the real things that have stopped us from becoming who we want to become as a nation? So those impediments, we distilled them. And a large number of them also had constitutional implications, apart from policy reforms. So we decided then that we would focus on a 7-point agenda that would become the basis for any future intervention to form a framework to reform the country, restore it to the path that we wanted to travel on, and reset it. So that was basically what we were preaching. And those included things like, you know, reforms to ensure that there's equitable balance of power between the three arms of government and independence of decision making, to ensure that the excesses of executive power are curtailed, to ensure that we have a long-term national development plan, and we follow that to ensure there's continuity, and we stop this, you know, business of abandoning projects and not making any headway. And then also the kind of government, the architecture of government, to have a balance between the different components of...
so you founded this NIM?
Yes. So
in 2017?
2016, together with some colleagues who...
From where? Are these both CPP people?
Oh, a lot of them were, because at that time, you know, those were the people I knew.
Do they have names?
Susan Edua Mankwa, Rhoda Ayana, so many other people.
So Mankwa,
but not all of them were from CPP. Some of them were from outside as well.
I see. We would have loved to know more names.
Dr. Charles Abugri.
Charles Abugri, formerly of...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He's also in NIM?
Yeah, he's also a member of NIM. And then we had people from NAVAG like Kofi Beningwo, who was from the Non-Aligned Voters Association of Ghana.
NAVAG?
Yeah, NAVAG.
I see.
You know, and then we had quite a number of names.
And so this has been in existence since 2016? Since
2016. So we've been working
But you didn't contest the 2016 election?
No. It was not a vehicle that was meant for political purposes.
So it's a pressure group?
Yeah, it's a political organization, but it's meant to highlight key things and bring them to the fore.
So it doesn't have like
of political discourse.
But it doesn't have members.
We have members, but they're not for the...
Is it a broad-based movement or a think tank?
It's more of a think tank, but we have members at regional levels as well. But at the same time, the purpose was to bring to the fore the issue of a need for reforms in governance as a basis, are you with me?
I see.
For interventions to become more productive and give better returns. The basis was that if we keep on doing these same interventions without those reforms that remove the impediments, we will have the same result.
Does it have any political, ideological leaning, traditional, left, right, center? It was
a pragmatic one. It was more of a nationalist vision. You know, of course, in the process of it, you can see that it is more a human-centered and social-centered ideology, but it's not really an ideology. It's a very making pragmatic decisions based on what we have experienced. And that basically led us to the next stage.
But there are fundamental questions like are you more market-driven or statist
well,
in terms of, for example, you know, these are basic economic questions.
Yes,
so, like,
you see,
do you feel like we should allow the market to drive allocation of resources more than the government to directly make those inputs?
Okay, and that is where basically when we say it was pragmatic, we have seen the difference between, you know, state-led and market-led. And none of the two extremes, are you with me, work in their totality. The best option is when you combine them. So the pragmatic way of looking at a market-led economy, but one in which the state intervenes.
So are you China now?
Not necessarily.
So China is state-sponsored capitalism.
No,
then?
but you see, the point is that there's so many different versions of it. Where you find yourself, you choose the combination that suits you. You don't try to copy somebody else. So, but the principle of it is that you cannot simply say, oh, market-led economy, private sector leads the growth.
There's also
and leave it to them.
Fair enough. There's also a big question around the role of Bretton Woods, right? So does the name think the IMF and World Bank have been useful? Will they continue to engage them? Do you recommend that, or you have a different view on the way they do things?
So, when we think of these things in absolute ways, it is not necessarily helpful. It's like having a shaving blade. It can give you a very nice shave, but it can also cut you, depending on how you use it. Are you with me? The Bretton Woods institutions are there. They can support your economy in the way that you want to use it, if you insist on it. Are you with me? But if you use it carelessly, it can also injure you. It can mire you in debt, emasculate the growth of your productive sector, and lead you into avenues.
You don't have like a stated position for or against them.
No.
You think you can use them depending on because their policy prescriptions are notoriously neoliberal. They are known. We know what they do.
That's because you are allowing them to prescribe for you. What we are saying is that we ourselves should take stock of where we are. The kind of society we need to have, the kind of economy we need to grow to build that society, and then bring people in to support that. Not a matter of go to them to prescribe you, are you and me, what you think.
But everywhere else, they have their policy prescriptions.
No, but my point
and
here...
they actually say that's the only way.
No, that's not true.
That's what they've been doing everywhere.
No. Look, that's not true.
They haven't applied a different policy anywhere else.
That is not true. The fact of the matter is that the way in which they've engaged with the Asian countries is very different to the way they've engaged with the African countries.
But it's still at the core neoliberal.
No,
as against heterodox
be
economics.
That as it may, because at the end of the day, you cannot get away from the market. Are you with me? There is no point at which you can say that we will not have the market play a role in our economy. There's no such, economic system anywhere. Do you understand?
So you are pragmatic.
Yeah. So what we are saying is that, look, we are at a nascent stage of growth. We need to support indigenous growth. But at the same time, we don't need to necessarily operate state companies. Are you with me? Because we've tried that before. So let's give the private sector room for operation, but let us ensure that they're competitive in our own market space. Do not subject them, are you with me, all of a sudden to a large dose of globalization and they disappear.
But that's what they believe. FDI is strongly pushed.
Of course, but that is up to you to decide. Are you with me? That dose is too strong for me.
I see.
Where I am now, I will take this dose. And now you either leave the money on the table and walk away, or you accept the prescription they've given you, which is, is an overdose.
What about...
I think the point I want to make here is that the inability of African governments to walk away from the money is what has led them to take doses that are not good for them.
What does the movement for change led by Alan have in common with the NIM led by Dr. Abu Sakara Foster?
I think the first point is that we're all seeking an alternative to the duopoly. That is number one.
So common foe?
No, a common objective. You see, we're not here to be against people. We are here to be for our own vision.
All right.
Are you with me? So that is the first point. The second point of it is that we believe that there has to be transformation both in governance and the economy Are you with me?
This looks, so what's happening here? This is the two of you.
Oh, they just
So
congratulated
you are the
me.
two key leaders.
Well, we have played a principal role. Other people are there who are also playing
So
roles.
this is NIM AFC.
Yeah,
NIM
a movement for change.
coming together.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So my point here is that we need to be clear about the fact that NIM and movement for change have common ground. They have common ground in the kind of government they want to see, the changes in governance they want to see, and the changes in the transformation of the economy that they want to see. And they know that those changes that we have seen are incremental changes that sometimes even go backwards. But the changes we want to see are quantum leaps. And for you to get those quantum leaps that will transform the economy and the society, you need to make fundamental changes. You cannot get it through small tweaks. Now, the message we must put out to Ghanaians, are you with me, is that you've tried 32 years of this, okay? This is an alternative. Why don't you try this for a change? And you, maybe that will be the answer.
One question that I need to ask is, will you ask for reform of the system before you participate in the election?
No.
Or is the election that will, because the election we have is the winner takes all situation.
Sure.
So my question, how are you going to run in this flawed system, which has created this duopoly?
Yes. You know, all organisms, before they become dominant in the medium, have to fight in situ.
You are taking me to biology and botany now.
So we have to be in the mix as we are now
before you can become
and
dominant.
find a way, are you with me, where we can seek and get the mandate to be able to make those changes. What we are telling people is that if you give us the mandate, these are the things that we're going to do. And we're going to do these A, B, C, D things in a way that will give us a different result to what you had before. And the reason it will give you a different result is because X, Y, Z are linked, whereas they were not linked before. In the economy, we are linking finance to infrastructure and the productive sectors of the economy, so that we invest in the productive sector of the economy in a proportionate amount to the amount that we invest in services.
Let me read a question for you.
Yes.
Bernard, are they just coming together because they don't like MPP and NDC?
Oh,
they have a different root and belief. What has Alan in common with the Nkrumahs? Such a marriage of convenience will crack in no time. This is from a professor.
Well, that is a very myopic view of political evolution. What brings us together is Ghana, the interest of Ghana. And this was what I was telling you some time ago. Because some people's experience of democracy is translated into these mostly, you know, very, what would I say?
Binary.
I don't want to use the word ethnic, tribes, you know, parties, but divisions. They don't see that the reason those things exist in the first place is to be vehicles to achieve a national purpose. Now, if we agree on principles, we agree on a framework, and we can work within that framework to achieve what we want for the nation, and we all have that desire, why not? The fact that we may even be from different political traditions tells us that this is an opportunity for you to be synergistic.
Let me understand
instead of
something.
antagonistic.
So this event on the 17th
Yes.
was mainly Movement for Change and NIM together.
No, all the 10 groups were
Because
there.
I'm seeing yellow,
No,
and the yellow is
that-
the Alan people.
Yeah, now you're bringing me to the point of one, when we formed this alliance, we avoided certain pitfalls.
Okay.
You see, normally what brings a collapse in an alliance is who's going to be the presidential candidate. So we decided to get it out of the way right at the beginning.
By upfront saying that Alan is a candidate.
Yes, we sat
Without
down.
Congress.
We sat down, we discussed it, and looked, after all, the people who were there at the beginning are the people who make the decision of what the framework should be. So we, those who were there at the beginning, made that decision that, look, let this person be the presidential candidate. We in NIM were even more concentrated on getting parliamentary candidates,
okay,
so that after the election we'll have people who could speak for us. So it was a marriage of mutual consent, in the sense that whereas they would support us on parliamentary, we will also support them on the presidential. In addition to that, the issues that brought us together, as I explained, we agreed on them. And we agreed that no, we cannot make a big transformation in this country just with economic interventions alone.
okay.
We must have systems, a change in governance in order for those economic interventions to bear fruit in a bigger way. So once we agreed that priority setting, and then we went into the economic transformation plan to look at his great transformation plan, and we saw that it had a lot of the elements that we agreed with, because it had elements of how to reduce transaction costs, to make our own indigenous entrepreneurs more competitive.
So there are lines of similarity there. I take a break. When I come back, I'll let you walk me through some of the other people.
Yes.
I'm seeing names like GNP,
Yes.
GFC, and GGP,
Yes.
and all of this. I'm seeing Bishop S.N. Mensah,
Yes.
and Akwesi Odai,
Yes.
Odike.
Yes.
Who are all these guys and what are they playing in this role?
Okay.
We're still talking to Dr. Abu Sakara Foster, who is a co-convener. We don't know if he'll be the running mate yet. He hasn't said that. But Alan is clearly their flag bearer, Movement for Change. Would you support them? Would you vote for them? Let's know. Send us a WhatsApp message. We'll be right back. We're still with Dr. Michael Abu Sakara Foster of the ARC. It sounds very close to AFRC. In fact, it makes some people uncomfortable.
Alliance for Revolutionary Change.
Couldn't you find a better name?
We tried all names, but we had to satisfy the youth as well. And they wanted that word revolution inside.
But you don't understand what revolution means.
Oh, they have a revolution in terms of their desire, the magnitude of change they want to see. It's not small change. They want to see a big change.
For 67 years of independence, the AFRC promised a lot.
No. Let's not even mention the AFRC.
They are the most
we are talking
of the
about
groups. It's the same word,
what youth of today perceive as revolution. They didn't see the ARC, so they don't know about it. What they perceive as revolutionary is not the typical revolution you have in your mind, but they have seen small incremental changes based on promises made. And they've seen that these incremental policies are not going to give me what we need. We need a radical change. We need a change that is a quantum leap.
Fair enough.
That is the revolution we are talking about.
Who is the Ghana First Coalition?
The Ghana First Coalition are also partners of NIM.
Who is the figure? Who leads them?
Bishop Samuel Mensah.
Bishop S.N. Mensah.
Yes,
he leads the Ghana First Coalition.
He's the chairman.
Is it a political party?
It is more of a campaign platform to seek political mandate, because we in NIM decided that we did not want to use NIM to seek a political mandate, because we were pushing a national cause and we wanted it to be acceptable to everybody, regardless of your political leanings.
What about Ghana National Party? I've never heard of them.
These are smaller groups led by individuals. They've been in the system all this time.
Ghana Green Party?
Ghana Green Party.
There's a Green Party.
But do you know how many parties there are in Ghana?
Probably 20.
Oh, more than that.
More than 20?
Oh, yes.
Registered? Wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've whittled them down now. But there were a lot of parties in Ghana.
How come CPP and PNC are not part of this? Because for a long time, they have been the flag
they are
bearers.
Not yet. They are not yet. But it may be that as we go on, they could become part of it.
But I know PNC is already in turmoil now. There's already a division.
Yes, and I know some people have been, talking to us, and we've been talking to other people, not only in PNC and CPP as well, and even in some of the other ones. And it's a matter of conversation and also for us to make progress. You see, when you are at the lorry station, everybody is shouting Kumasi, Kumasi, Kumasi. You're there looking at this bus or this one. The one that starts to move is the one you all jump.
So you have kickstarted.
You
your former foe,
Yes.
Yariga. I remember 2012.
Oh, Ayariga is not my foe.
No, I'm putting in context.
Yes.
2012 presidential
Competitor.
debates.
Yes.
It was Mahama Akufo-Addo, yourself, and
Yes.
Yariga were the four
Yes.
leading faces.
Yes.
He's not part of the
I said not yet. You see,
Are you speaking to him?
what we wanted to do was form an alliance that had clear objectives, a clear mission, and a solid foundation, which forms a framework for us to use it as a political vehicle. Then we invite people in, have a look at it. If you like it, sign up to it, and we work together. But calling everybody around to design it, it will take us forever and ever. Are you with me? So we have made sure that it is broad enough, it's inclusive, and it can take on board all the ideas that people want to bring on board, provided they're in line with...
Was Odike
Yes.
at this event?
Yeah. Yes, he was there. He even spoke at this event. I'm surprised you didn't see
So the
him
names
there.
are mentioned, they were all there.
They were all there.
Bishop SMS
and
was
each
there.
one of them spoke.
I see.
Each one of them spoke at that event. And it was not a one-man show for NIM or
The
or,
NPP
a
said
movement for
that
change.
some people who defected to Alan's group have come back.
Oh, that is good news.
For you?
It means that they're taking us seriously.
You think it's good news?
It means that they're taking us
They
seriously.
claim there are 6,000 of them.
Oh, you know, what is new in this Ghana that we have not seen before? They go around, get some people who are not even important. I don't even know this person, and I've never met this
The
person.
man who led the press conference, you don't know him.
Who?
The person who spoke at the
No,
press
I
conference.
have no idea who he is.
It's called Kumi. He supposedly is supporting Alan.
Yeah, and many of the other people don't also know him. You see, the point here is that we know that many people were approached to be induced with money to defect.
As in former MPP members?
Yes, that they know. But he's the only one who has done it. And you cannot tell me that in 100 sheep, there will not be one black one. Are you with me?
You think it's a black sheep?
And even then, it is good that people who you planned maybe to rely on move out now, in case they become a polling agent. Then that one is too late. So we are not here to force people to be with us. We're here to have an alliance of conviction. It's not an alliance of convenience. Those people who are looking for political convenience, they will always defect to one area or another which is more convenient. But we are trying to build an alliance of conviction, political conviction, and that will be sustainable and durable over time.
Will Alan still run as an independent candidate? Because that's the point he made earlier. But this ARC, is it going to be a political party?
No. You
Still
see,
independent?
Alan is an independent presidential candidate who is going to be supported by the members of the ARC. So the ARC itself is not contesting like
not
a
a political
political party.
party.
Yeah, what we have said is that this is the political candidate, this is the independent presidential candidate we endorse, and we are going to support him. That's all that we have
Would
said.
you be his running mate?
Oh, that one we are going, today we sat through to look at the National Steering Committee so that all the people who are members, that's to say founding members of the alliance, each person will be represented in the highest decision-making body of the alliance, which is the National Steering Committee. And then they will be assisted by an executive secretariat. And then we go straight down into the campaign machinery, which goes all the way down to the polling stations. So we're not a political party to have regional chairman, constituency chairman, no. And because we are now putting down those structures, etc., and linking all of our groups up, when we have done that, are you with me? Then we can lift up our heads and say, now it is time to select a vice presidential candidate to assist our flag bearer to campaign. And at that time, yes, people may ask me, they may ask Bernard Avle, they may ask whoever. It is up to us at that time to give our reasons.
There are some people who feel this whole thing is about being a kingmaker. Because if you look at the electoral map,
Yes.
realistically, it's going to be difficult to break the duopoly in the immediate future.
You see,
So what you're trying to do is to be the the group that if there's a runoff, you would.
We are not here for king making. Are you
Sure.
with me? The purpose of this alliance is to be an alternative political force now and in the future. So we are laying the foundation. Are you with me? If you're king making, you're doing it only for the moment. But we are laying the foundation. That's why it has taken us time to build it. And that is why we didn't just have an alliance of convenience. We had an alliance with a memorandum of understanding which laid out clearly the vision, the objectives, and the framework for it, and how it will transcend over time. So the point here is that this is not just a knee-jerk reaction. It is a well thought out, contemplated political initiative that we believe is going to provide an alternative to Ghanaians and fulfill their yearning for an alternative.
But if there's a runoff, have you decided who you will support?
Well,
if you were not in the top two?
I think the fact of the matter is that it's a decision that will be made by the National Steering Committee. I cannot sit here and say, because I prefer to do X, you should do it. No, that will be at that time a decision that will be made by the National Steering Committee. But I can imagine, you know, the sentiments at that time. So I have no illusions about what that will result in. However, we believe.
So it's obvious they will tilt more towards opposition because usually parties are looking for change, aren't they?
The point here is that if Ghanaians want an alternative to this particular government now, and they give us the mandate because of that change, will you now return them to that government?
You will not.
Are you with me? So, but at the time too, we have to listen to people. Are you with me? It's not just a matter of making your own decision. There's a logic of it, but there's also the consultative process. How are you getting resources though?
Because it's very expensive to do these things.
Well, that is why we have to pool together. You know, it cannot be done by one person. That's one. And it's not just a question of money, but the resources, the talents, etc., to build the synergy. But in addition to that, we have a flag bearer. And every flag bearer, whether you're independent or you belong to a political party, you know that you're the horse that is pulling the cart.
So he needs to make resources available.
So he has to find the resources.
Thank you for talking to us, Dr. Michael Abu Sakara Foster, founder of the National Interest Movement, now co-convener of the ARC, which is a group of political organizations supporting Alan Kyerematen's bid for flag bearer, of course, president as independent candidate. Thank you. It's good talking to you. I like your hat. Is that a polo or is it?
Oh no, this is a special hat. As you can see, this is the what do you call it? It's Yagunwura's emblem.
Oh.
You know, so
yes, you're a strong Gunja man. Thank you for being on the program. We wish you well. I'm sure we'll talk again before election 2024 proper. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.